All right, everyone. Hey, it's Marshall Atkinson.
And I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
Yeah, and welcome to Q&A with Alan and Marshall. We're so happy to be here. And it's another Friday. Another week has whizzed by. I can't even believe it's Friday, to be honest with you.
Busy.
And but here we are, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Marshall. It's just been a busy week. You called me last night, and I had just landed from a week in St. Louis and driving home. And right now, like I just said, I'm dragging a little bit. Even when you said I'm Marshall, and I usually say I'm Alan from there was a big lag. Oh wait, I'm on. That's me. So bear with me, people.
Hey, Cindy's here. Yay for Friday. And look, she's got a new picture.
All right. Yay, Cindy.
All right. Congratulations for showing up. Appreciate you, Cindy. And Mike's here. Good morning. Charles is here. What's up, fellas? Ghost is here. Thanks for showing up.
We missed you last week, Costa.
Josh Wiley's here. Hey, Josh. Hey, Josh. How's the hat press that you got at Shirt Lab Live in Fort Worth? How's that going? Give us a report. Are you making money with that thing yet? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's right. Josh, if you don't know, won the hat press donated by Stalls at Shirt Lab. That was great.
Right, it was great. And Shane says, good morning. Kisa's here. Good morning.
Kisa?
Patty's here. Good morning.
Patty?
And by the way, Patty is the master of scented ink.
Yep.
So if you like right now, here's what you need to do right now. Your Christmas, you're doing holiday, you're going to do the thing with snowmans or candy canes or whatever. You can do a peppermint fleece shirt that smells like candy canes, and that guy can hook you up with that, and you can blow all your clients away. So
absolutely.
Hey, Patty, Patrick, put your website contact information in the comments, just so everybody knows what it is. Peter's here.
I got to
Brian's here. Brian, we were talking about you before the show.
Yeah, so, I had to share with Marshall mine and yours conversation, Brian. But I want to give a shout out to Peter. He did a favor for me. He has an Easy Way EDF 100 filtration system. I couldn't find a video for it for someone. He took a great video and sent it to me last night. Peter, it never came up on my email. It did on Instagram, but thank you so much. I might have to give you a different email address. But
and Josh is here. Just so busy, we haven't taken a good video of it yet. Sorry. Excuses. I know that's totally cool. I'm glad it's making money. That's the whole purpose, right? So for those of you that are watching right now, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
It would be really awesome if everybody right now would just share that you're watching the show. We'd love to get some more listeners and watchers and whatever we're doing, right? We would love for everybody to know that we're live right now and we're here to answer your questions. That's the whole goal of the show, is that it's a Q&A show. So we need those questions to really make this whole thing work.
Especially today. There's going to be a little twist.
We have a little switch up today.
Yeah, maybe we'll tell them that right before we go to the commercial.
We got some foreshadowing coming up.
Absolutely.
Right?
So start thinking of stuff, everybody.
Yeah. So, Sean's here. Hey, guys. And thanks, Patrick, for sharing your email. I mean, the website. Awesome.
Duracent, you want to set yourself apart from your client, from your competitors and stuff, Duracent would do it.
Yeah, and that it can smell like anything. It can smell like chocolate. It can smell like barbecue sauce. It can smell like all kinds of crazy stuff. So, and I'm sure if you've got a smell that they haven't done, maybe they'll make one just for you. I don't know. Right? Can you do a shirt that smells like a new car?
The new car smell. I'm sure you could. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, Sean wants one that smells like pot. What's going on with that?
More specific, what kind of pot? So I've heard there's different kinds. I don't know. Look right there, what Patrick said.
So there you go. So chocolate sample pint free. There you go. Awesome.
It's not. Yep. Don't eat it.
Right. He goes, they already have it. There you go. Richard's here. Good morning to you both. Thanks to you both for buying a copy of The History of Screen Printing this week. My pleasure, Richard.
It was awesome. If you missed last week's show, go listen to it. I had so much fun last week with Andy McDougall.
It was fun.
It was fun. Great.
And just by the way, next week, I'm not going to be here because I'm going to be at Print Hustlers in Chicago. So if you're going to that, I'll see you there. But we have a special guest host who's taking my place. Who's that going to be, Alan?
It's going to be Mr. Ray Greenwood, who has been on here a little bit before. Ray has been in the industry. He's in Academy with yourself, me, yourself, and Richard, and
a bunch of other people.
And a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Ray is actually a consultant, but to that electronic industry. He has printed solar panels, but he's also worked for SGIA and their tech lab. He's worked for a competitive chemical company to ours. He's very knowledgeable in printing. And I'm excited because we're going to talk about almost what we did with Andy a little bit, that the overlapping of industries. And I know Josh Wiley knows Ray Greenwood.
Yeah.
Ray also worked for Stretch Devices, but how these textile industries and electronic and industrial industries could be a new market.
Right.
And I'm real excited about that.
Right. So Heather's here. Good morning, Heather.
Look at her picture. Heather, look at Heather's picture. A new one for her.
Great. That's very
awesome.
Warrior princess or something.
What
are you doing in that?
Yeah, she must be a Comic-Con or some Comic-Con Detroit's going on right now, I heard. So yeah.
And then Keith's here. Good morning, Keith from California. Keith. So let's let everybody know what we're doing today, because we're doing something different, and it's going to be viewer's choice. So this is a Q&A show, and when we started this whole idea, it was no slides, no topics, nothing. We decided this morning to get back to our roots. So we don't have any prepared topics at all. Today's show is going to be 100% driven by you. So we're going to roll our commercial here in a minute. And while that's going on, we would love some folks to type in a question, to type in a topic, to type in your biggest challenge right now. And then Alan and I will help with that, but also everybody watching, we want to solve some problems. But it needs to come from you, because I think that's going to be more impactful.
The only thing, Brian Buffka, you're not allowed to ask about my podcast I haven't done. I'll tell you the story of that later on after the commercial.
Right. And by the way, Patty says, here's his email.
Absolutely.
And Heather is a Viking photo shoot. That's great.
Very cool.
All right. Well,
let's have a word from GSG.
Word from GSG. So let's get those comments and questions in.
Yep. Start now.
Here we go.
Everybody dance. GSG.
Oh my God, we have no questions.
Shocking. Come on, guys, you're killing us.
Okay, so while we stall, let's talk about something that I was talking about earlier before our show started.
Absolutely.
Which is understanding profit margins and profit. And so I've been working with a couple clients this week on pricing, and we've been looking at profit. We've been looking at jobs. And so right now, I think is a really great time for everyone to take, I know you're busy, I totally get it, but take a deep dive into the math behind your shop.
Yep.
And you need to understand 100% of the dollars that you're paying every month, right? Versus the work that you're churning out. Okay. You need to understand how much profit you're making. And if you don't, because that's what matters. Top line sales matter that always matters, but it's the profit on that you really should be focusing on. And if you're not happy with that, let's talk about raising our pricing and all that, right?
Yep.
So that's super important.
Well, and I think too on raising prices, I'll give an example. So I was in St. Louis all week working with one of my dealers, and Marshall, you and I were talking about this. Everybody's afraid to raise prices on these accounts that might be bogging them down. They're not making profitable. I was at a shop. It was not a bad sized shop, good guy, but he was talking about this. He says, I just keep raising my prices on these people. And he goes, they keep sending me work. I can't get rid of them.
Right.
I go, you taking the money? He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I should have done it a while ago. He goes, I might raise it again.
Yeah. Right.
So don't be afraid on there.
So, hey, Greg, thanks for the great quote. Top line is ego. Bottom line is results.
I love it. Greg Kitson joining us. So awesome. We got some questions
awesome.
coming.
So we got some questions in. So we were stalling with that comment. So let's get to some real stuff here. So Peter says, has anyone ever printed puff ink with glow in the dark ink on top mixed with glitter? Well, that's just like a milkshake.
Wow.
Right? So I've printed puff. I've printed glow, right? I haven't done it all mixed with glitter, right? And so the only way for you to know is just to do it, man.
Yeah.
Right. But when the puff expands, that glow could be less.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just think about the concentration of what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. All right. And how much puff do you want? Right. So the bigger it blows up like a muffin, right, it's going to affect how everything looks. Right?
Yeah.
So
I would also I don't know that I would want glitter on top of that, because the glitter flakes are going to just take away from what you're trying to get of that glow in the dark. They're going to cover it.
So when you say glitter, right, are you talking like a couple flakes here and there, kind of like Crystallina, or is it like massive glitter? Right. Well, I don't know. We don't really understand.
Crystallina and shimmer or yellow sparkle is not even a glitter. The flakes are too small. It's a shimmer. And I would do that. If you went, say, white puff, flash, glow in the dark on top, I would almost half tone and stochastic that or something on there. And with puff ink, if you're doing a big area of it, you're going to want to half tone it or do a stochastic or something like that, an 80%, so it doesn't pucker the shirt. I'd put the glow in the dark on top, and then I would go with a clear, like a yellow sparkle from Willflex, a Crystallina from IC, which is clear base with a Crystallina, like a yellow sparkle in it, and put that on top of that. And
I can see this, Halloween's coming up, and maybe that's what he's thinking about, right?
I think so. But yeah, great. It'd be great if you do it. Check that out. So great question.
Yep. Kisa says, I have so many questions. Well, you got to write them.
Yeah.
Hey, Alan, you're not a mind reader, are you? Because I'm not.
I can at certain times, but I've promised I will only use that power for good.
Oh, so if you did it today, it's for evil?
Well, it would be just to make us look good, and it would be very self-serving.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get a question or two out of you today. All right. Yeah. So Greg says, good morning. And Jay says, what do you believe would be the next big thing in our industry? Has it already started? It's direct to film.
Yeah.
That's the next big thing. That's the next big thing right now. Davis Slagle with B Graphics, who Jay, that he's in Shirt Lab Tribe. He sent me some pictures. And by the way, congratulations to Davis and his wife for the birth of their twins.
Oh, congratulations.
Earlier Davis. This week. So excited for them.
Yeah.
I'm a dad myself. I've got one kid, so I don't know if I can handle two. But, my wife's a twin, and her twin sister, Tracy, celebrated their 21st wedding anniversary last night. We all went to dinner. And let me tell you, those two girls, right, they got the whole mental wavelength thing going, right? So your twins are going to have that. So get ready.
Yeah.
Anyway, next big thing is DTF. And the reason I bring up Davis is because he showed me a leather etched patch with the DTF color on top of it.
Nice.
Oh my God, it looks so good.
Yeah, I've seen them.
It's really cool looking. So you're going to see more and more innovation with DTF. Super Color, by the way, opened up their new plant in Atlanta. I know a lot of you guys order from them, and they're great. They're a platinum sponsor for Shirt Lab, so we want to give them a shout out. But so I think that, and the reason why I think a lot of people are looking at DTF is because you can train somebody to operate a heat press pretty easily, but trying to get somebody to learn how to operate an auto, right, or even a manual press is months of training. And I think a lot of people are starting to look at just their workflow and their inability to get employees, and we still have to take orders. We still have to get stuff decorated. Maybe this is an option for us right now because of the labor market, right? And so that could be something that you really should be interested in, Jay. So
there's the one I've seen the most of is the Cobra Flex. And they actually, instead of a powder, they have a powderless one now too, which I guess is working pretty stinking well. And I've seen the video on it, and the guys at Cobra Flex were telling me they're just killing it right now. I believe, from Champaign, Illinois, Steve Farrig. Yeah, he had one. So there's a lot of them around.
Okay,
they're right out of Arizona. So yeah.
So Charles says, low cure inks, especially International Coatings Cool White, can use this as a base white without having to add low cure additives to standard plastisol top colors. If you have a low cure, so it's going to cure at a lower temperature, right? You really need to use lower cure throughout the thing, because if your dryer is set lower and your normal colors are on top, you're not going to cure them. But are you using it where I'm just using this white because I couldn't get anything, and I'm going to print, the dryer is going to be set higher? You can probably do that. It depends on how you're using it. What do you think, Alan?
Well, you are 100% right, Marshall, and the big picture, but specifically with IC Cool White, what you might not know, Marshall, IC Cool White is part of International Coatings Flex Cure line, and it actually cures anywhere from 325 all the way to 275. So you can use standard colors.
Oh, I didn't know the temperature.
Exactly. I knew you didn't. You can use standard colors on top, but you're going to have to cure them at 325. So you're losing all the benefits of low cure inks on it.
Right.
So,
so Charles, are you asking this because this is the ink that you had to get because you couldn't find your normal white?
Yep.
Right.
No,
or are you trying to just do low cure for everything? Why are you? What's the background context for the question? I think that's what we need.
And so here's even a little bit more. If you're going on polyester and you're looking for low cure because of bleeding, and you put a standard ink on top, you're going to have to do what he said: add a low cure additive, which International Coatings has one, to drop that temperature down, or you're going to have to buy a low cure series of color and put it on there. If not, you're going to lose all the low cure properties. But that's a great question.
Cool. Kisa says, to go auto or not to go auto. I know you're struggling with this right now. And we had a big phone call the other day, Alan, and she has some homework to do that I gave her. Yeah. So my question is, did you do your homework?
Yeah.
Right. So I really want her to do some research, write a business plan, really understand all the costs here. Her shop is really kind of in her home, right? And so there's a three-phase electrical issue, right? And so she's looking at some M&R, an M&R press. So she really needs to kind of unpack a lot of things right here, right? So Keisha, let's you got my number. Let's talk, okay? So did you get all that stuff done? That's what we need to kind of unpack here.
And people always look at the auto and they forget everything around it too. One, like you said, what's the electrical? What's the space requirements? What do you have for a dryer? Because your dryer is going to slow it down.
Yep.
Paid a capital purchase and they're not using it to full.
Well, we also talked about the fact that she's going to have an increase in screens every day. She's going to have to. Yeah. How are you playing? And you got to feed the beast, right? Yep. So you got all this stuff. Now your sales have to go up, right? So there's a lot of things that have to change when you go from doing let's just say 60 an hour average to 400 an hour average, right?
Yep.
That means a lot of the stuff gets done faster. Okay. Which means you get more throughput, but you got to do that every day. So the cycle just gets faster, which means you have a lot of different things that happen in other departments. So,
right. I think too, you have to remember anytime you automate in any area, especially from manual to automatic, it happens when you're going from coding manually to coding automatic, and especially reclaiming from reclaiming manually to automatic. Anytime you automate, it is going to show you where you suck as a printer. It'll show you where your deficiencies are. So don't think you're just going to push play and go either. So there's a little bit of a curve there.
It's a big change. Yep. It's a big change. So Brian says we currently use 100 mesh screens for manually printing our underbase. What problems could this cause? So
do that. Yeah,
that's a very low mesh count. Why are you using it that low?
Yeah,
that's like almost like metallic ink level, right? So
yeah, it used to be back in the day a 110 mesh is like what most people do, and you can do that, but you're going to have such a heavy ink deposit. You're going to have now if you're doing an athletic look, you want that thick deposit, then I get it. But man, I especially on automatics, man, 155 for underbase, because remember your underbase, everybody wants that bright white underbase. It doesn't need to be that. You're just getting a base color down so the colors can go on top. But I'd go 155.
He's manually printing, Alan.
Right.
So.
I'd still go 125, and if your tension's good, you're fine.
Right.
125, 135.
And remember, your underbase doesn't have to be brilliant white. It's just setting up the foundation for everything that's going to go on top.
Absolutely.
Right. So that's like the main thing. And of course, when you're manually printing, you're going to print flash prints, and then you're going to flash again and put your colors on top.
Yeah.
Right. Also, I think if your underbase, let's say there's no white in the design, it doesn't have to be white, right? So I mean, it could be other colors. It could be gray or tan, because that your underbase color can affect the colors that are printing on top. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be completely solid awesome if you're printing colors on top. You just needs to be there with a flash because you're going to print other things, right? Yep. So that can affect the hand of and the result that you get, right?
Yeah, the problems it can cause is you're going to have longer flash times on it. Your pellet's going to heat up more. You could run into some intercoat adhesion. There's some issues that could happen, but you're going to have to watch that a little bit.
Right. And William says, "Hey y'all, how much money? It's not how much money you handle; it's how much money you keep."
Absolutely. Love that. Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
That. Brian says we're wanting to buy higher mesh count for our underbase. Oops, that got lost.
Yep, and we answered that. Great job, Brian. Okay. So the story with Brian, I never did say that. So I'm traveling with this dealer, and Brian.
I know the story. That's why I'm already laughing.
So Brian came and we met first time face to face at Dax, Kansas City. He came out. I met him and all that, and it was great meeting him finally face to face. The dealer was there too, and they developed a relationship. Brian's been looking at a dip tank. I thought he purchased it already. And then at Shirt Lab, we were talking again, yada, 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 the whole thing. So I get the dealer I'm with last week, it's an email. Hey, Brian Buffka just ordered a whole dip tank package. And I told the guy, I said, well, tell him you're traveling with me. He goes, yeah, that's right. It was a lead from you. And he goes, I'm traveling with Alan. I go and ask him what took him so long. It's about time. Brian replies, I was waiting for Alan's podcast to order it then. So brutal. It was just harsh. Yeah. So I had to explain to this guy what that meant. So it was hilarious. But it was awesome. Congratulations, Brian. It was great. It was funny.
So as some of you guys know, I have a brother. His name is Tim. Yeah. Right. And sometimes he watches. He's not watching right now. He called me this morning because he was driving yesterday and he listened to my last podcast episode with Julie Denton from Blue Cotton.
Yeah.
And so he's all excited now about doing his own podcast he's a lawyer for the law industry. Right. And so he wants me to help him get all set up. So here's the thing. Who finishes the race first? Does Alan do his podcast or does my brother Tim do a podcast. Which one publishes their first episode?
Tim. My question: are you going to make Tim schedule a call, and are you going to charge him by the hour like lawyers do?
I don't know what I'm doing with him. So, to be honest. All right, so let's move on. So Cindy says things in the shipping world are getting worse. Yes, I agree. One of my vendors changed over to Lone Star Shipping. I don't know them. I'm still waiting on a box of shirts from a week and a half ago. Is that like an LTL? What is Lone Star Shipping? What is that?
Yeah, it's probably, yeah.
It's like a local Texas thing. So I don't know what that is, Cindy. So
Pony Express.
Let us know, right? So yeah, Pony Express. It comes from
Exactly.
a horse. So
exactly. Which nowadays it'd probably be faster.
So here's the thing. So one of your vendors has changed over. Is they're tracking? Do they lose it? When is it going to show up? If you need the product, if it's lost, can they reorder it? I mean, I would be calling them and really kind of is squeaky wheel, right? If you don't like say something, nothing's going to get done, right? So you have to be kind of looking at that. And also, I know from ordering stuff, some vendors, not all of them, allow you to use your freight account on the shipment, right? And so that's vendor by vendor kind of a thing, right? So if you've got a FedEx or UPS or whatever you prefer, can you give them your third-party freight number, and then it's billed to your account, and then it ships the way that you prefer, right? So you might want to look at that, right? That not everybody does that, I'm just saying, but some folks do. So Greg says print orders, everything in multimedia affect printing. Yes, exactly. Mr. Sean says, I need to buy a new film printer since CTS is not an option for us because of our volume, meaning it's not enough. What would be the best printer option for us using 13 by 19 sheets or 13-inch rolls? Price is always a factor, but not the determining one. We just want something that will work with their accurate Black Pearl software and will print nice, clean lines and gray halftones. Great halftones. So other printers right now that are watching this, what film printer are you using that fits this? Can you chime in right now? Because I know some of you guys use film. What do you use and to good success? I know there's an Epson that everybody uses, but I can't remember the number.
Here's the deal. The Epson. I was just looking at another question down below that, and the Epson is all. Epsons are always going to, Epson's mode of operation is always to have these printers out and then discontinue them and do that. It just is. I mean, nobody likes it. It just is. When you're looking at a printer, I usually go Epson. Always look at rolls over sheets. It's cheaper, and do that. Make sure the printer can pull it and do it. If not, it'll chatter and it'll do that. But I don't know the Epson numbers now.
Okay, and I would just throw out here. You can get, because of the shops, because of COVID, going out of business, auctions. You can get a used CTS unit. Okay. And here's the other thing I want you to understand is the cost for that isn't in the imaging on the screen. It's the savings you're going to have in setup time on press.
Right.
So you need to really be looking at that. And let's just say your film cost is $1 a sheet. I don't know what it is, but that's what that is, right? But there's other factors in here where your art department has to print the film. You got to register it on the screen. That takes more time. That's throughput in the screen room. Not to mention, if you have a CTS unit that's compatible with Trilock or the PRU system or something, depending on what press you have. And so it's like one of these things where look at the total ecosystem of your imaging and do the calculations, the math and the labor and the cost of supplies and everything on that, not just what it costs to print a piece of film. And maybe your justification for it will increase. Okay. And so that's what I would be looking at. And then it's, is it, wax, or is it, toner. There's the whole discussion about that. But there's plenty of used equipment out there. There's people like, I think Tom Rowland's got one for sale right now. I'm not sure on that. There's other people that have these units that they've bought or they're trying to sell because that shop closed and there's an auction.
Right.
You can get this stuff cheaper than buying it new sometimes. You just have to have the money available. Don't you think, Alan?
A little bit, but when it comes to printers, when there's used printers, I always found them to be very problematic always. Printers can be problematic. So always, anytime you buy used equipment, if you know the person, it's always better because you could be buying someone else's problem. Be my own.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not a huge used equipment fan unless you know the guy and know the history of it.
Right.
On there, because you could just because there is no service with it, so you're on your own. As far as I've worked for shops and we've bought used equipment and we've had it serviced. Yeah, but usually not.
And we put the money in it just to make sure it works right.
Yeah,
right. So
usually not Epson printers though.
I'm talking Dalfit or
Dalfit's an automatic
M&R, right? So
correct.
All right. So Jim says, is the GoPro, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, 533 digital screen maker worth the hassle remeshing your frame after every use over traditional reclaim of screens?
I got a very strong opinion on this machine.
Well, let's hear it.
I hate it. It is the worst thing in the industry right now, and I'll give you my reason why. One, your screen cost is going to go to about $7 a screen. It looks like it could be the greatest thing on earth, and it's just awful. I am not a fan of items like that.
Why is it so bad, Alan?
Because your screen cost is like $7 a screen. You are actually, this is a, I think it first came out by Oyo, where it actually has film on the screen and it's applying it right there. But your screen cost is like about $7 a screen on it, and you're just getting rid of it after every frame. It's awful.
Okay.
I just think do the numbers on it. I'm not a huge fan. If it was that good, I'd see everybody using them, and they're not that good. And the people I know that have got them are going, "Oh my gosh." That's my opinion. Take it for what it is.
I don't think you said opinion enough. It's your opinion.
Well, I never want to. Unless it's screen opener, I don't get that strong on it. But this is one of the things, and that's why we were talking. I saw that. I'm like, oh yeah, for what they cost, we're not talking like an express screen, which I'm not a fan at. But if you getting into it and it starts and it helps you get to a bigger thing, I get it. But I'm just not
right.
Not a big fan, Jim. I apologize. I wish I had better news, but if somebody else has a different opinion, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So Cindy says, congratulations probably on Davis's twins.
Yes.
Peter says, I'm a twin, I have twin daughters. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mark says, I've done the glow in the dark glitter. Reach out to me. You can definitely put it on top of Puff. Good morning, guys. Hey, Mark, thanks for showing up.
We did a video not too long ago, just with Puff with a sparkle, a shimmer on top of it too.
But was it glow in the dark too?
It wasn't glow in the dark, but it did have the glitter on top. So
okay.
But reach out to Mark. He'd be a great resource.
So what mesh count? Oh, what mesh count for Puff, ink, and shimmer? Puff, I don't think it matters as much as the shimmer, right? So the shimmer is good. You're going to want a lower mesh count,
depending on whose shimmer it is. If it's a shimmer or a crystallina or a yellow sparkle, you're going to want to go. You can go 110. You can go a little 80. Bit higher on them, 86, depending on it. Every manufacturer has different size flakes in there, so you're going to want to go up, look at their tech data sheet and see.
Yep. Sam says Cobra Flex is sweet. Campus Ink is loving theirs.
They are.
I'm so interested in DTF. I just keep being told by my rep that their printers aren't ready yet. Any suggestions where to begin shopping for equipment?
Cobra Flex.
Well, Davis ordered his from China and had to get the Mandarin Google thing going so he could just figure out how to print it. And I don't know if there is a brand. I'm not aware of one. Maybe there is. There's a brand that's just ready to go.
Cobra Flex.
Huh?
The Cobra Flex.
The Cobra Flex. Okay.
Yep,
So take a look at that. Who sells that, Alan? Do you know?
Cobra Flex out of Arizona. He said, DM me and I'll send you a link.
Okay.
Because she's farther over there in Texas too. She should go right to Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
I know they talked to a very big dealer in Texas, but I don't know if that's been settled yet.
Yeah. Like dealer like GSG?
Sure.
Our sponsor?
Ask me a question I'm allowed to answer.
Okay. Sorry. Keisa says homework is in progress. Great. Can't wait for you to turn it in. Jay says, I was hoping you would say DTF. My follow-up question is, with being so new, we risk purchasing a printer now, or do we wait until the U.S. suppliers are refined a bit more from overseas production? So here's Jay's the question. There's always early adopters in anything, right?
Yep.
So do you want to get ahead of your crowd and learn how to do it? Remember when DTGs came out, there was people who jumped right in and it didn't work. And there's people who made money doing that. And there's people who didn't. So it's really just about understanding what you're doing and being willing to absorb the pain.
Yep.
You know, and making it work, you know. So if you want something that's refined and perfect, I would suggest that you wait. If you want something that you're going to have to play around with and whatever, because I think Davis right now is, you know, in the middle of New Babyville, so he's probably not going to be available. But, you know, he's somebody who's spent lots of time and lots of hours perfecting his DTF scenario. And by the way, he sold all of his screen printing equipment, and now he's exclusive DTF.
Yep.
So that's all he does in his whole shop, right?
Really?
I mean, hundreds of orders a day going through there, all DTF. So if you want to like find out what he had to go through, I think maybe getting a call set up with him might be worthwhile, or just post on Tribe. I mean, he'll eventually answer, you know, so.
And you have to remember that even all of them are made in China right now. There's no American made one. Some of them, there's one company, the one I mentioned actually says it's a USA made one, but they are bringing the base product over and then they're putting their spin on it and making it a lot more friendly and redoing it. So the carriages, the chassis coming from China, but almost all of them are from China. So when you say, I don't want a Chinese one, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just remember that. Yeah.
Manual versus auto, load one shirt, print 6 colors. Exactly.
Yep.
The reason for the base is to, I'm sure he means seal the shirt. So
absolutely.
We use 2 or 3 230 screens for the underbase, even when we had a manual. Yes, because we want to affect the hand. You see, I was right. Seal.
And tension is everything on underbase when you're doing that, the higher mesh count. Absolutely.
Yep. What's the benefit of not printing white as an underbase? Besides gray, what other colors are people using? Black. Well, here, for example, Heather, right? We all know, and well, not all, but if you print PMS 202, for example, which is kind of like a burgundy, but it's got some like pinky colors in it to that burgundy. If you were to print white, it comes out looking really pink. If you use tan, like a tan color, it comes out looking like PMS 202, right? Because what happens is there's some colors, like for example, reflex blue, right? Mm-hmm. If you print that over white, it's going to drop 2 or 3 shades lighter, right? If you print with a gray or even a light blue, it's going to stay the blue color better.
Yep.
Right. So it just really depends. What are all the other colors in your print edition that you're trying to get out? That's what you need to kind of look at, because if you print a light blue as an underbase and you're printing yellow, right, then that's going to make it look kind of green. Right. So maybe you need a tan, which would keep the yellow better. Right. So it just kind of look at what you're doing as a whole, as a macro look. Right. And then play with it that way. Hopefully that makes sense.
Right.
So,
I think too, anytime you use a color, you have to make sure that your cure is precise too, because they're not always formulated for an underbase like whites are. So you don't want to over cure it. You don't want to under cure it, but you want to make sure it's slightly tacky on it too.
Right.
So watch your temperatures on that. But great question, Heather.
Cool. So Eric says, come on, Alan, you could, hey, thanks for joining us, Eric.
Yeah, appreciate it, Eric.
This is a podcast comment, I'm sure.
It is. It always is.
Right. I'm not sure, but it's from Alpha. SSS uses it too. We call them every day. We're at the top of the list.
Of course you are.
Okay. Greg says, Sean, CTS makes you money. We need to talk about real life ROI for CTS.
Do it.
Perfect, Greg. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We used to, Adam's here. Hey, Adam.
Hey.
We used to use an Epson 1400.
Adam was, I'm glad Adam's here. I've talked to him. Adam had a little COVID scare in his family and stuff. So they were quarantined, but ended up being nothing.
Yeah.
His kid ended up breaking a lamp outside of the house too while they were in quarantine. But I'm glad that everybody's healthy and stuff. So it ended up being nothing. So
Shane gives a printer recommendation. So there you go.
Yep.
Greg says Facebook keeps buffering on me. I switched to YouTube. Great. Thank you, Greg.
A lot of people have. A lot more people are going to YouTube.
You will save 80% of your time by not making film. Time is money. Exactly.
I think too that when it comes to CTS, it's never about the film cost savings. If you look just at that, it doesn't make sense. It's always about time and setup and everything. So yeah,
right. Here's a great comment. Richard says Ray Weiss of Printing United is having a new team for creating new education curriculum. What training are you hungry for? I saw that email in the Academy thing. So this is a great. So for you guys watching right now, Printing United is kind of the organization that helps our industry a little bit. So if they're going to do some training for you, what do you really want them to invest the time and effort building a webinar series or something on? So leave that in the comments. What do you want to know? Right? That would be very, and title it like Printing United or PU, and then put whatever that comment is. And that way we'll collect those answers.
And I think too, on Printing United, we can talk a little bit on that the show was canceled and stuff. They have recently, and I'm hoping it continues. Richard knows, and all that. We've all talked in the Academy that they are starting to do a few things. We hope it continues. And that's because of, I know Richard has talked to them for the last year, just pushing them with the new teams of Printing United. Marshall, I have. And, sometimes things happen in Academy and with these, we've all served on committees at SGI, and that's what's happening. They're pushing for that. Greg actually chaired a committee I was on. He got me into it. So you have people pushing for this stuff. And I think this is part of because of just the voices that were heard. So good job, Ray. Ray Weiss of Printing United. Ray's a great guy. So let's hope it continues through. That's exciting. So help us help them. If they want to do it, let's get involved, everybody.
Yeah, right. And Greg says with the GOCC Pro, you have a single source consumable. Talk about supply chain nightmares.
Absolutely. Good point, Greg.
8170. And I'm not sure what that is. That mesh counts, I guess, probably
81 through 7. Greg, I'm not sure what I think so.
Is Supercolor DTF? I believe it is.
A Supercolor does DTF and screen.
Yeah. Sean says he's laughing about Alan not mentioning the Texas company.
Well, sometimes there are things that we know of deal, and I'm not doing that to be secretive.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's things we hear in the industry, and you don't want to let it out of the bag in case that doesn't happen and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
So
here's a great comment from Richard. Try printing a black base to seal the shirt. Probably not the time, but if you print opaque inks on top, it can work. So with water base, right, there's a bleed blocker black, and that's really common, right? And so it's not white, it's actually black, and you're printing your colors on top, right? So not everything has to be white. So that's a really great.
They have bleed blocker blacks and plastisol and bleed blocker grays also. And a lot of times they do, depending on that too, the grays, a lot of times in blacks, they will, if it's too dark and it darkens a color, you have a real light color, it could shift it the other way. Sometimes they will put a thin layer of white on top of it.
Right. There you go. So here's an elaboration. The mesh for special effects, thick capillary film makes it easier.
Very easier, especially if you're
like 400 micron, something like that, probably. Right?
Probably 200. I would go 200 on a
200
on a sparkle and all that. I think like that, or a shimmer, or but if you're going glitter, you're going to be down into a 36 mesh, and so you're going to have to either use like a Kiwo thick emulsion or something like that, or 200 to 400 micron cap film.
Right. Right. What's the capillary film that's got like the thick name? It's got a it's
Fat film.
fat film. That's it.
There's fat film. There's fat film. There's thick film.
Right.
One makes fat film. One makes thick film. I think
Yeah, the Chromaline's fat film, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Yolano is thick film. They all have a high density, a thicker one.
Right.
So, absolutely. Right. These are great questions.
Well, we've run out. We need more. Let's keep it going. We got 15 minutes left.
I think the DTF questions were good. I love when people are chiming into things. So glad Greg Hickson is online. We missed you a little bit, Greg, on some few weeks. But yeah, I love when Richard and Greg and everybody starts chiming into, and it's not just us. That's what it's about. Industry helping industry.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that hasn't been brought up is, where are all the shirts? Right.
Which
I know everybody's still struggling with that, and it's become such a pain. One of the things that I've been kind of coaching some people on is I was one of my coaching clients. They have they don't have a purchasing person in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
The inside salespeople order for all their clients.
Mm-hmm.
And their sales are being affected because these people are trying to find those 20 peak mediums. And so one of the things I recommended was to get one person doing all the purchasing and doing all the detective work there, and have other people concentrate on the sales end, so you're not losing out. Because what happens, as we all know, is that what we do today is what we're going to be printing 2 or 3 weeks from now. So if you're not working on your sales now, in a couple weeks, that's going to show up with nothing in production. Right. And so the less that you sell, the less effort you're making with that is going to have a direct effect in production. And I know that we need to find the blanks and all that. You still have to do that work. So don't shortchange yourself by skimping that way, right? So don't think of it as, I need to hire a purchasing person now. That's going to cost me this. How much is it going to cost you when you have no work 3 weeks from now because you're not selling anymore, because your sales staff is busy trying to find those shirts? So just think of it that way, as almost an insurance policy to keep moving forward, right? So just keep thinking about that. Here you go. So let's kick the hornet's nest on CTS, wax or ink. I like wax a lot.
I like wax. I like wax better than water-based ink also. But I think, Sean, the biggest thing, here's how I tell people, because I don't sell these things anymore. Anytime if anything, an ink one or a wax one, both of them are better than film. Water-based ink is better than film. Wax is better than ink. And then, it was my thing.
Right. Right. Well, there's tons of theories and we can debate and all that. My experience has been with wax, and wax to me produced a better result.
Way better.
That's just on the things that I was doing. Right. Absolutely. Other people will say that they like the printing, the toner. Right. And
here's one thing that started, I think, just more because more people are going auto reclaim. We talked earlier that anytime you automate, you're going to find out where your weaknesses are. A lot of the water-based ink CTS units, your humidity in that room for your emulsion has to be higher. So there's water. That stencil is not always 100% dry. And if you're using a dual cure, and even in some pure photopolymers, that's an issue. And we are finding that it's happening, after exposure when it comes to reclaiming them, because they're not totally cured in some areas. And anytime you have under curing or under exposure in your stencil, you're going to have reclaim problems, and that shows up in auto reclaim.
So does this mean that we need to post cure after we wash out?
Well, post curing can help, but if you're using a diazo in it, whether it's a diazo or a dual cure, or you're adding it, post-curing doesn't help, because water, when you have a diazo, will actually block that cross link, The post cure will help the areas that are already cross-linked, but those that are soft will not cross-link at all. On a pure photopolymer, you can post cure, but if there's water still in there, water's still in there. So if it's not drying enough. And so when your humidity, it's almost, I hated the water-based things when I was selling emulsion, because it was almost like they would tell people, raise the humidity in your drying room to get the ink to work in your CTS machine, while the emulsion people are going, no, dry, drier, driest. So what do you want? Better dots or, worse stencils? Well, now with auto reclaim, now it's becoming a little bit more evident. I know of a couple shops that immediately they realized the problem. Auto reclaims a couple different machines, sold their water-based inks, and went and got a wax one right away.
Right.
So there are some things to consider, but always remember all of them better than film. Water-based inks are better than film. Usually wax is better than water-based. If money's no object, because there is a price difference on that. But yeah.
Right. So Richard says wax, less floor space, ink gains as it sits, and the ink is less opaque. He means about the toner, right? So
what happens is that on a water-based, if your stencil is dry and you have a water-based ink on there, it's like a sponge, and it just you start getting gain on there. So.
Brian says, does printing on black underbase change the top colors?
It can.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why sometimes on a black underbase, they'll overprint it with white. But also, too, remember, if you're not using one designed as an underbase, like on a bleed blocker type one, remember that not all blacks are the same. Some are gloss blacks, some are matte blacks, some are satin blacks, and that can affect it also.
Good points. Greg says, force majeure impact on inks and chemistry.
Yes. I don't know the question, Greg. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the fancy words.
Force majeure means almost means an act of God. I remember that when in the music industry, we had to have that in the contract.
You can't control it.
Yep. Means you can't control it. So things are there, and Dow has claimed force majeure on some of their raw materials.
There you go.
Yeah.
Define it, please. There you go. We just did. Thanks, Greg. All right. Awesome. These great discussions, guys. Keep posting stuff.
Well, I knew something that Greg didn't, or maybe he's just throwing out as a question so people knew, because it was, and Greg, is that because of a letter you got from us, from Easyway? It's actually mentioned in there. We are having an increase in, and part of it is listed that force majeure. Dow Chemical has claimed force majeure on raw materials, and they're a big raw material supplier for the industry for a lot of things.
Right.
So silicone ink stuff for us and everything. So
right.
Way to go, Midland, Michigan. That's where Dow's located.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing. We need to be. Everybody needs to be raising their pricing.
Yeah.
Right. And because otherwise you're going to take the profit hit. Right. And so your garments are going up, your consumables are going up, your labor is going up, freight is going up. The cost to get things delivered, sometimes it's free, sometimes it's not. All that needs to be included in stuff. And if you're not keeping up with that, right? And I know shops, maybe they raise their price at the beginning of the year, but they haven't done it again. You need to raise your price now, right? I wrote a blog article about that last week. You should read it. But we really need to be raising our pricing to keep up. And here's the thing: COVID is the bad guy, not you, right? Yeah. And now is the best time in the history of business to raise pricing. Sorry, just do it. So
yeah, like I said, Greg says if you look down on it, Mr. Schluter, and that is actually Dr. Mr. John Schluter Esquire, is the owner of Easyway, and it's a reference to Dow. He had in that letter that he got there.
Right.
I'm sucking up a little bit, Dr. Mr. Esquire, John Schluter.
You can suck up. It's okay.
But yeah, that's where it was. It was in a letter we went out where there's an increase November 1. We don't want to, we have to, just like our business of staying profitable. just like everybody else, all the ink companies, and that's why
Yeah.
you have to. We expect you to pass it on to your clients. There's just
Right.
no way.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: is your supply chain, right? They're raising their prices. I know that you hate it, and it's easy to get angry. But you know what?
Yep.
We want them around next year.
Yep.
Okay. So, like, they don't want to do that. They don't want to have the avalanche of hate coming their way, but they have to do it to remain profitable and in business. Otherwise, they're going to ride off into the sunset and go out of business.
Absolutely. And I don't
So,
need Easy Way going out of business, because as great a guy as John Schluter is, he's not a nonprofit. And guys, I'm not ready to retire yet. So yeah.
yeah.
And
Right.
that's just it. That's not being mean. That's not there. Everybody, whether it's GSG, whether it's
Right.
NASDAQ, whether it's Wolflex and all that, you just like you guys are in business to be profitable. So yeah.
Right. Greg has a really great point. Beware of quoting to find how long the price will be honored on quotes.
Yep.
And then Rob Coleman's here. Man,
love Rob.
Price increases aren't over for sure. Super inflationary times. Yep. And Rob says, I'm ready to retire. I can see that. You're on your boat.
He's on his boat. If I had Rob Coleman money, I'd be ready to retire too. No, I'm teasing.
Rob Coleman money. I've never heard that phrase before. Is that new?
It's a big number.
Is it a big number? Rob,
assuming.
do you have Rob Coleman money? I really want to know.
I am just assuming on there. It's because Rob and I are friends and I can say stuff like that. Oh, I'm ready to retire. I just can't. So yeah. But he is right. Price increases aren't over for sure. That's super. It's super inflationary right now. We don't know how long it'll last.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that's why we have to pass this along to the customer, right? And we don't want to do it. And you just have really good conversations and just, hey, this is the time we're in, right? And just look at what's going on right now with everything. People aren't dumb. They see this. And a lot of people just accept it and then move on, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the cost of business is going up. This is what we're doing. There you go. Right.
Nobody has an idea. Everybody, I know companies from Easy Way, Rob's company, have done some things. GSG's done some things. Everybody's doing these things, and there's no right or wrong, because we're in uncharted territory again, and nobody knows. So nobody's doing this because now's the way to just inflate everything.
Right.
That's not happening.
Okay. Well, there's another thing here is the fact that once prices are increased, it's rare that they go back down.
It is rare, but
I would really think that these prices are going up. You're going to raise your price. And if you don't raise your price, you think that, well, that's just going to go back down after this COVID thing's over. It's like, sorry, pal. It's like, it's just going up. Right. So, So Rob has a great thing here. Says definitely need to discuss with customers now.
Absolutely.
There are tons of articles you can use to sell the cause. Got to run, guys, for a call. Thanks for a great show as always. Thank you, Rob, for stopping in. Appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. So, and for guys like, I know my boss, for Alex, for Rob and stuff like that, they're at the top there. I'm glad I don't have to make these decisions like they do. So yeah. Mr. Granberry and his team at GSG, they're all looking at making decisions. And man, if you don't think that doesn't weigh on them at night, then you just don't know.
Well, here's
your business.
There's other things that you can do to kind of like take the sting out of the blow a little bit. It's like, we're going to raise prices on this, but on these things, we're going to hold firm.
Absolutely.
So that could be, your whatever, right? Your art fee or your whatever. It doesn't matter, right? So maybe you soften the blow a little bit just by talking about how you're calculating the price increases because of garment increase or a consumable increase. But the things that we can control as a shop, our digitizing fee or our art fee or the rush fee or the, however other things, right? We're going to keep those the same. Right. And maybe that helps you take some of the sting out of it. Right. So
this is a great time to control the things you can control. And some things are out of your control. And, I guess one of the good things, and not to toot our own horn, but, Easy Way, I am very proud to work for this company. They have handled this price us extremely well as a manufacturer. Our dealers will say, hey, we still get product from them. It might not be as fast as it used to be, but we're still there. And if you looked on our Facebook page, they announced and showed pictures of a new building. We're cranking, and we're looking for the future too. So
yeah, good.
just like you guys. So a lot of good things happening. It's not all doom and gloom. Everybody is, you know what? Last year at this time, we were talking about how to keep things going and keep going. And if you're not busy, you're missing it.
Well, yeah, you're right. A year ago, we were talking survival.
Yep,
now we're talking price increases. This is
Yep.
it's completely different. So
I was in a like I said, in St. Louis, in a shop I'd never been to before, decent sized shop. And we asked, they go, how are you doing ink and stuff like that? And what's going on? And they, you know what they told me? Goes, yeah, you know what? It's been a little rough. It's not astronomical. You have to search around more and stuff like that and do it. So it's not 90% we're dying, the apocalypse that's happening.
I know so many shops right now that are expanding. They're buying new presses. They're getting a new building. Their business has never been busier. And what they did to fuel that is they dumped all the bullshit clients, right? They raised their prices. They raised their minimums. They went after stuff a year ago with exactly who we want to work with. They went after those folks with laser vengeance. And guess what? Now they have all this really awesome work, and they're able to expand because they did all the heavy lifting, you know, when everybody else was all doom and gloom kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Right? So Josh has a great comment here. 15% just don't get it. Still living under a rock. The rest understand. Why do business with these people?
Yeah, they're going to be gone anyway. So yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. And people are good. A lot of times they just bitch and moan. It's just noise. Just get past that. Right. So, Greg says, I saw a market pricing disclaimer on a garment website this week. Sounds like a lobster dinner.
And
I like that. Market pricing.
Market price, whatever the market's going today. And unfortunately,
how did that work, Greg? That was just like, instead of having the normal grid, it was just like market price, call for quote.
Call for pricing. Yeah.
Right. I guess. Right. So very interesting.
We had to do that on one product that is mostly in the graphic and auto industry, because a lot of it stuff is spec'd in. They can't change. But we finally told the dealers, going, your list price is your cost. Sell it for what you can. Because the raw materials just went ungodly. We would have to raise it by 200% or whatever. And so we just said, sell it for here. The list price is now your cost, and do that. It's something that's used in the textile market a lot, but it was rough.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, cool. So we're out of time. So Alan, what you doing this weekend, buddy?
That was a great episode. I love that. Thank you, everybody, for all the questions and stuff like that. I am actually, you know, just tonight, I am actually going to go to the bank, and that's like the highlight now. I bought I sold my house on the lake a couple years ago, Marshall, bought a brand new house that was built and everything 2 years ago. I am signing the papers. I am refinancing it. I have knocked off 8 years off my mortgage with a lower payment, and I'm jazzed. Stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that on there tomorrow. I am going to, I don't know. I think I might actually go. It's going to be a little cooler, but if it doesn't rain, I think I actually might just grab a fishing pole, go out to my stepmom and dad's place. Even though my dad passed away, I still call it my dad's place, and just maybe walk around the ponds and fish a little bit. I haven't done that a little bit. You and I were talking about it earlier before the show. So I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. So
tight lines, pal. I hope you catch something.
Absolutely. And for me, like we're talking, I use all artificial baits. So for me, sometimes it is relaxing while I am learning. I'm not a fun just sit out there with a bobber and a beer guy, but it is relaxing for me just at least to walk out around there and just do that. And I've done very little of that this year. I did go on a charter trip in Charlotte this spring, and actually we're talked about doing it again in December, but yeah, so I think that's what we're doing. I don't have any real plans, but yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm jazzed about the refinance. Not bad on a 2-year-old house. So
yeah, well, that's great. And Greg says, by the way, published price was gone. Call for price availability on everything.
Always
so
get the 3-pound lobster.
Yeah. So for me, I know that my football team, the Florida State Seminoles, absolutely will not lose this weekend.
All right, because they have a bye.
Yeah. So that's great for me, right? Next week we play Clemson.
Well, and you know what? Professional football, I'm up here. We have the Detroit Lions. Enough said. There we go.
I think they're still winless, aren't they?
Of course they are.
What's going on with that?
They've been winless since they've not had a winning season or gone to a championship since like 1957 or something like that.
How come?
I don't know. I don't know. It's been that way my whole life, and I'm 55. So what do I know?
I don't know.
I didn't know football teams were supposed to win. I don't know what
really
that's like. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
You know what? Right now, the sad part of it is that's the culture, unfortunately. The owners of it are the Fords. Yes, Henry Ford's grandson and all that. And it's a toy to them. They don't care.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's just awful. It's what are you going to do? So, who knows?
Yeah. Boomer.
So, thank you.
Me.
Very, very nice.
Boomer too.
Actually, we're not a boomer.
Well, I was born in 64, so I'm right at the end.
You're right there. I'm actually slightly over. I'm actually in Gen X, but yeah. So, yeah. But I'm at the older end of it. But yeah, I was born in 66. So
yeah, great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Really appreciate you, everyone. And let us know if we can help you. That's what we're all about. So
it was.
And please give GSG a jingle if they can help you. Also, I know they're primed to do all that, right?
And you know what? Last week we were talking about training, and Mark Soldonic said they're starting up their training series there at their place next year, which is good. There's some great videos. Check that out. I saw Liz Beaver on embroidery just posted another one. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but yeah, check them out. We can't thank them enough. And check those guys out. Send them a note. Tell them thank you so much.
Right. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week with Ray here to answer all your questions.
It'll be fun. And we're expecting reports from Print Hustlers. That's going to be a great event. I wish I could be there.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't know if I'll have time, but if
maybe
I'll figure something out.
And then we got a lot of guests coming on after that too.
Yeah, we're going to be guest heavy soon. So
which is good. So
all right. Hey everyone, talk to y'all soon. See ya.
Bye-bye.